it's a great pleasure then to share my research at this show and tell at the group. Yeah. A brief self-introduction. I'm Yuting. I'm currently a professor at the National University of Singapore. And then today my plan is more taking to a casual conversation where I will share about my own research. Then because majority of my research is the collaboration with the real companies that are doing either data science, machine learning, AI stuff. And I think maybe this is a great opportunity then to share part of my projects and then to see some of the insights from this academia industry collaboration. And because I'm also working in the marketing department, most of the application probably focus more in the business, marketing, and sales. So I think during the presentation, any question that you have, feel free to interrupt me and I'm happy to discuss. So this is my today's plan. I plan to cover 5 projects if time allows. If we go above, I think 1 hour, I think maybe I will cut some project, but I think we should have enough time. The first one I'm going to share is a collaboration with a ride sharing company. Basically, it's the largest ride sharing platform in the mainland China. And the second one is the one that I'm currently working on. It's about, I think this is a very important new concept after generative AI. It's called the generative search. Then I will share some insights that we find by collaborating with a very big online platform, again in mainland China, about this new search format and how it changes consumer behaviors. And the next one, I want to move to a sales setting and then share one project about a recommender system that we designed for an insurance company to do sales prospecting. And the fourth one for my plan is then to cover an algorithm that we developed together with Google about how to design the scalable target marketing policies with the constraints. And the last one is also an algorithm paper, which we collaborate with eBay about the sponsor list rankings. Okay, then let's get started with the first project. So for the first one, this one is started with actually this ride sharing platform, and then the question we look at, or the academia concept that we look at, is called the algorithm aversion. So here I share with you the first paper that mentioned this concept. What is algorithm aversion? So basically, to understand it, we can think is, even though probably sometimes the algorithms can perform very well, we observe both in lab and in field that the users, no matter it's consumers or in our context, like the drivers, they tend to trust the human judges or the human forecasters or themselves. So to give you more context ideas, so the start of this project is like, so for the AI team in this company, they developed this algorithm reposition request stuff. So basically, this is a reinforcement learning based algorithm reposition. So that is, they basically try to use all the data on their platform. That is, you can think, so as a platform, actually you can know, for example, for a city, in each location, at each time, what is, for example, the true demand and the true supply. Basically, they base on this global information and build these reinforcement learning algorithms so that they can reposit the drivers to a designated location to maximize the efficiency of the matching. So then this is basically give you an idea about how it looks for this algorithm reposition front-end design. So that is, so for the drivers that join in this this test, so they will first, in the first image, they will receive a request, a task saying that, okay, please come to a specific location and arrive them by certain time. If you accept this reposition request, then you just click go. And then once you click go, then you go to the second page, then you will see the map that directs you to the destination. And then in the last image, basically showing that once you complete your task, then it's done. Then let me continue with this adoption rate. That is the challenge faced by the company at that time is that it's a great idea. So with great data, great algorithm logic, and they also test it in their simulation environment in some small scale experiment. But they found that actually when they roll out in a field experiment, the adoption rate did not reach their expectation. So here, this full-scale experiment is running for 2 weeks. And basically for these 2 weeks, you can see the adoption rate is just around 70%, which they would expect, for example, 90% of the sales agents, 90% of the drivers, then they would have the incentive to accept this requisition task. So then this moves to the next question, which is, okay, why? So that's basically our collaboration starting point. That is why the drivers, they do not accept the requisition task, given this is so powerful. We have two hypotheses. So basically the two hypotheses that we raise, the first one is then about how the drivers will use their own contextual experience when they face this algorithm recommendation. And the second one is then about when they face these recommendations that clash with their peers' actions, how the drivers will respond. And two of them, the first one we think, if it contradicts with your own experience, then probably you are less likely to accept the algorithm requisition task. And for the second one, actually, empirically speaking, we do not know what's the direction that it will go. And this gives the key results of this project. So basically, it's saying that, yes, so your own contextual experience measures, which measures from the first two rows, that we measure both your experience in the starting position, that is, if you have more experience in your starting point, then there is less likely that you will accept this algorithm task. And then for the second one is that if you have more experience in the destination, then you have a higher chance to accept this algorithm task. And the third one is the one about the peer action, which is the interesting point. That is how your peers' actions will influence your own algorithm decision. And what we found is that if you have more peers that are in your starting position, then you have less likely to accept the requisition task. So later, actually, we conducted a survey in the company then to ask about how the drivers are thinking about this. So actually, initially, we thought it's just that, okay, probably if you have more nearby drivers near you, then maybe it signals that, so here the demand is higher, so you should stay, then you should not go to the recommended position. But then another thought will be if you are more sophisticated, then as a driver, probably a more rational behavior you can do is that if you see more drivers nearby you, then probably it's good that you go to the other places so that you can avoid this competition. And then when we interview the drivers, actually we find a very interesting point from the driver is that what's actually in their mind is that they agree this is a high demand position. And then what they expect is that because other drivers will leave, so that I should stay. So that's why you observe this negative effects. Then which shows that actually, I think the big insights from this collaboration to our partner company is that for all the algorithm that you designed, especially if the user adoption is very important, it's very important to communicate the basic logic of your algorithm design to your users. For example, in this case, basically the user, they have a misunderstanding of the algorithm. They thought all of them will be sent into the same destination, but which in fact is not. This is more like a global optimization task. And then because in the pre-training, they didn't communicate clearly, that's why it causes the low adoption. Okay, so this then about the first project I plan to share. And then the second one, as I mentioned, is a project I'm currently working on, collaborating with a large online platform in mainland China about this new search format called generative search. What is generative search? I think maybe we can see this video from Google. All right, so as you can see, so you probably have experienced when you use Google. So basically, generative search is like now, after you input a search query, then you will see some generative answers, a brief answers that from the generative AI, whatever, like the GPT or maybe their underlying own large language models. Then after that, then you will then see the standard search results. So I think there is a hot discussion now about how generative AI is transforming the search, however. Why? I think ideally speaking, I think the first thing we need to think about is then, let's think about how normally consumer search process. Basically, we can abstract into three things. That is, no matter what we want to search, actually we initially start with maybe some questions, some needs, some intentions. Like for example, in this case, where can I relax, work, and get good coffees? And then, because in the traditional keyword-based system, so they cannot handle the questions or the needs very well. That's why we probably need to do some keywords extraction. That is, let me try to extract some searchable keywords from my initial questions or initial needs, like maybe it's cozy cafe or quiet cafe or good coffee. And then once you input these searchable keywords, then you will see the search results displayed to you, right? Results may only partially match your actual needs or maybe actually match your initial needs. So this is basically in the traditional keyword-based system. That is, we focus more on the right part. That is the last two steps. I already have some searchable keywords. Let's see whether it matches. If it doesn't, let me revise. Then let me redo it. And then in some cases, maybe I need to try lots of keywords. Then I can find the results I want to have. Or maybe in sometimes, given that, oh, I couldn't think more of the keywords, then I just give up. So I think what's generative search actually changed, or the essence of generative search is then let's intervene in the first two. That is, intervene in the stage when consumers trying to translate their initial questions or initial needs to the searchable keywords. And as the video I showed you in the beginning, that Google lists in when they introduce the generative search is basically, okay, now as consumer, you don't need to extract these keywords. You can directly ask questions, and then based on these questions, probably it can give you some ideas about what to search, and then you can continue your searching. So, but at the same time, so though I think it sounds very intuitive, it's very amazing. It seems to solve important user problem, but actually, when we look at the generative search, actually this generative AI results sometimes can take a large space of your screen, especially in the mobile app. It's basically now your first page is all about this generative AI, and only when you scroll down that you can see the standard search results. Then this leads to, I think it's both a question at that time interesting for me as a researcher and also for the company that we collaborated is this generative search really effective? And in our setting, basically, when I say effectiveness, I'm mentioning about the consumer purchases. Because the results are currently under the company screening, I cannot share the exact result, but I can verbally describe to you what happened in the data. So first, to answer this research question, the answer is yes, generative search is effective. That is, we do see significant increase in both the number of purchases and also the number of money that the consumers spend in this platform. And second, then the question is that, okay, then under this new search format, what kind of behaviors that the consumer change so to lead to these consumer purchases? Then several insights. So first, we find that the consumers enter more search queries. That is, if we count the number of search queries, the number of distinct search queries, we find that yes, consumers actually search more. And the second is that, but at the same time, when you see after consumer enter a search query, when it comes to their browsing or the merchant showing behavior, they actually browse less. That is, they may enter a keyword, but they didn't browse the search list. That is, in terms of browsing behavior, it decreases. And lastly, if we come to the clicking behavior, that is the number of merchants that was clicked by the consumer, it significantly decreased. That is, the consumer now, they enter more keywords, but they browse less, and also they click less, and then, but actually, eventually, they purchase more, which shows that actually under generative search, now it seems that consumers spend more time in tailoring what they want to search. Instead of like in the traditional keywords-based search system, the consumer might need to spend more time in browsing, clicking, than to see whether the merchant is actually meet their needs. Okay, so this one, I think it has many implications. Like for example, another project we are currently working on is then about, given that the clicking behavior decreases so much, then what's the consequence for the sponsor search? And the next question will be, in this one, we still consider this kind of format generative search. And actually, recently, we observed that Google launches a new, they call it AI mode, a more aggressive generative search format, which is now there is no traditional search results. It's just a purely conversation. You just like a conversation with your AI shopping assistant. Then is it better? Then this one is like, I give you some answer, but you still under the keyword traditional based system, or it will be more useful for the consumer just directly transfer into a very aggressive AI shopping assistant format. So this is another experiment that we are currently running. Okay, so that's about the second. Then next, let me move to the third project. So this project, then we move to a more traditional industry, which probably not that sexy. It's about sales. So the company we collaborate with is the Minsheng Insurance. It's also a Chinese mainland company. And then at that time when we started collaboration, so this is this picture basically summarizes one of their key problems. So in this picture, we collected all of their transaction data from 2015 to 2021. And then in the x-axis, we count the days since a salesperson joined the company. And then in the y-axis, we calculated the proportion of the new salespeople who have not made their first sale. Then as you can see, so even after 3 months, that is 90 days, almost 70% of the new salespeople who have not made their first sale, which become a big problem for Minsheng at that time, because it means that 70% of the time, after I spend my onboarding cost, the training cost, then 70% of the sales agent, they didn't pay me back. Then I couldn't get any revenue from them. And then this leads to our research goal. That is, for this collaboration, our goal is then how can we boost this initial sales productivity without any marketing engineering? I give you 2 slides just to give you more idea about actually sales is a very, very, very important function. For example, here I give you company annual spending in North America in this most 3 important marketing and sales function. Actually, you might think, okay, digital marketing is what we discuss a lot and a lot, but actually in companies, sales is always the most expensive function. As you can see, even compared with the traditional marketing, is 6 times higher in terms of the annual spending. And also, this is also a labor-intensive industry that is, I think, across world, across many countries, sales is a very important proportion of the jobs that are doing by the normal people. For example, I think even for United States, which is the lowest in this figure, it accounts for 8% of the total labor force. Okay, so this gives you some context. So this is the company we collaborate with, and then for this company, so for the sales rep, when they are trying to sell insurance, what they need to do is that they do not have a client base. They need to try to identify and convert their own customers. And this is give you some idea about data. We have some sales records from the salespeople and also the sales rep and customer trace. Okay, so then what our proposed solution is a deep learning based recommender system, then to help the new salespeople identify the customers with this higher conversion potential. And one unique feature when we implement these recommender systems in this company is that actually sales, as we showed in the beginning picture, right, is success is much less than failure. That is, the truth is that even for a very successful salespeople, so their failure rate is very high. That is, probably they try some customers, but actually the conversion rate is not high. So then one unique feature in our deep learning based recommender system is then we embed with some economic theory into this recommender system so that we can capture the salespeople's unobserved failures. Okay, so this then gives you this algorithm's performance. So the dark blue is the number that I show you in the beginning, is the proportion of the new salespeople to make their first sale, yet to make their first sale. And then for the light blue one is then our method. As we can see, at least we can try to reduce the proportion of the new salespeople yet to make the first sales by around 15%. Okay. Another thing is that this one has also been productized with the company with a mobile app interface. And then when we do it in industry, we are trying to do the recommendations through the chatbots. Okay. If you have more interest, welcome to. I also have a YouTube channel. It's to introduce this project in much detail about how the algorithm is designed. Also, we are very lucky to be the winner of the 2024 Generative in Practice Prize competition, which is basically the awarded for the best marketing engineering practice implemented in the industry in that 2 years, from the 2023 to 2024. So this is a global competition. All right, I think I'm done with the third project. So then let me then move to the fourth one, which is our collaboration with Google. So this one, then we move to the personalization. Then I don't need to mention the importance of personalization. Basically, it's like Amazon, or maybe I think for important e-commerce, this is a very key cornerstone of their current the algorithm or their marketing campaigns. Okay, so actually the starting point with for this project is when we collaborated with some fashion retailers. We found that traditional personalization algorithm, or maybe the policy that we deliver from the algorithm, actually will not consider the constraints that the company face. That is, when I design a personalization algorithm, then I just assume that the companies do not face any constraints. Then after I got a policy, then I do some post adjustment. So for this one, actually, I remember at that time, the company mentioned that, but actually they face lots of constraints. For example, budget constraint. I think this is the most typical one. Another one, actually also common in industry, is the performance constraint. That is, when you design this new targeting policy, I hope that at least you can secure some performance. For example, we once heard from our collaborators that I hope this year's revenue is no lower than last year, which means that you can try the new policy, but I hope that I can secure at least the last year's revenue. Then another constraint that is more severe or receives lots of media attention in US will be this fairness constraints. That is how you should balance the fairness between different groups when you do this algorithm targeting. So then that's basically our algorithm solve a very simple and general problem. That is, we try to provide a scalable algorithm that can optimize the personalization policy with all kinds of constraints. So that is, this algorithm, we provide this based on linear programming, then and can also run in a scalable way, and then to do this task. Okay, So to give you some idea, so actually the economic implementation is actually very large for this algorithm. So here, what I want you to see is this line. So this line basically illustrates, so by using algorithm, what's the profit difference for each consumer. That is, for each consumer, basically we can achieve $4 higher than a policy that could not do this scalable optimization. Then, if you have interest for this algorithm, feel free to visit our deployed place at the Google OR tools. So this is the deployment website. So now I think they only have the C++ version. I haven't checked for a long time. I don't know whether they have updated with the Python one. Okay, so this is the first one. Okay, I moved to the last project, and I think then I can open the for them for any questions. So the last one is our collaboration with eBay. So then the question is then about the sponsored product listing. What is sponsored product listing? So normally on our collaborative platform, they normally have these two product listing format. The first one is when you enter a keyword, and then you will see, right, basically a search rank list for you. And then within this search rank list, sometimes we will also see some sponsored products. And then another search format or sponsored product listing is then in the second image, is that below the seed products, that is below the seeding camera products, we also see this you may also like. So within the company, this you may also like is also the sponsored product listing. That is when you see a list of this the list of the related products, then there are also embedded some sponsored ads within that. So for this collaboration, we focus more on the second type. Okay. Then what's the current industry benchmark? So current industry benchmark normally take this predict, then optimize framework. That is, first, let me do some prediction, which involves estimating the conversion rate for each product for this customer, which denotes basically the proportion of the consumers completing a desired action, such as the clicks or the purchases. Okay. Then after you make, then for this prediction phase, basically you probably will see lots of machine learning or deep learning algorithms are implemented to use different types, different modes of consumer data. Okay. Then after they have this conversion rate, for example, the click-through rate or the purchase rate for this consumer for this product, then they will move to the optimization phase. That is, I select the sponsored items for display given the various constraints that I have. So for this algorithm project, for this collaboration specifically, the second part is our focus. That is, given your machine learning model, you have this estimated conversion rates, let's move to how we can do this optimization phase better. Okay. Then the next question, what is the current industry benchmark for optimization? It actually very naive. That is a simple score-based ranking algorithm. Why? Because the latency requirement for this kind of platforms is super high. That is, you must generate this ranking within 0.1 second. Then given this stringent latency requirements, score method is widely used in the optimization stage for this kind of online platforms. And then when you ask about then what's the specific scoring criterion they use, of course they will consider multiple dimensions, balancing all these kind of constraints, and also considering like the conversion, the sponsored product ads, and also the click-through, whatever. So they have this basically is manually adjust so that they try this this score system already achieve the best performance. As I mentioned, so I'll have this slide. So the limitation then is clear, right? So first, the performance highly depends on the definition of the score function, and also it's very hard to scale when more constraints come in, no matter it's about like inventory, sales performance, fairness, etc. Then for this one, our collaboration is then to provide, again, this is a linear programming based algorithm that can meet the latency requirement. That is basically our algorithm can deliver the result within 0.1 second. And then we also test the algorithm performance using a large-scale field experiment. And what we found, basically, we can reach the latency requirement, and at the same time, we also achieve profit increases. Okay, I think that's all that I prepared on my side about some of the project that I collaborate with the companies. It covers different aspects. Some of them is about understanding how the algorithm is working in reality. Some of them is more about developing specific algorithm that tailor to the context. Thank you very much, and I will be happy to take any questions.